Yo, yo, yo. Good morning, good afternoon, no maniacs. Welcome to the show. All of you guys that are here right now. Yes, indeed. We are live at partially noon against the big CHGO crowd, the big bad wolf. But who's afraid of him? I ain't. You need options in life, and we're the options. If you want something new, you want something different, you want something fresh, you want something optimistic, this is the show to be at. This is the network to tune into. Good morning, good afternoon, one more time. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fabulous. Uh, Thanks everybody for showing up and sharing your time. Uh, should be an interesting and informative show.
That it will be. I went to sleep last night, Brian. I went to sleep studying Thomas Brown because that guy is a particular he's a particular figure that we brought onto the coaching staff that really, when I say really, impresses me. I don't know if I can really describe it as well as I can, but oh my lord, this dude has got so much promise, man, and his just everything about him screams. And I don't know that the reason he was brought onto this coaching staff, I think this is Ryan Poles is doing. I think he's a stash.
I I think all of these guys are Ryan Poles. I think the last hire was Flus, and I think all these guys because just looking at all of them's credentials, you like Brown, the two that intrigued me, and I know we're going to talk about all of them, is Kerry Joseph, because I think that's a guy that's been a hidden gem that just because his age, he's 50, but he's only been in the pros for coaching for 3 years. But the guy played 18 years as a mobile quarterback, mostly in Canada, but it's still a pro quarterback. And then Eric Washington, he's the other one that intrigues me for the simple fact the weak link to me on defense was the defensive line. And he is a guy since 1997. He's worked on the D line, been a coach, been assistant head coach, but it's primarily defense and defensive line. Every year, he is notorious for having teams that are tops in sacks and putting pressure. And like I said, that was a weak link with the defensive line last year. Granted, when we got Sweat and when Snow, when he joined, things started to mesh. And I think Washington is going to be the final piece on top of what we get draft wise and free agents.
Well, since you highlighted him, let's talk about Eric Washington for a minute because again, I was doing a bunch of just studying the coaches and what kind of guys they are and what they're going to bring to the table, and it was like Eric Washington is a you look at his face and he looks like a serious guy. You
Yep.
look at him, it's like it's kind of intimidating looking to probably some people, but
Boss.
oh yeah, yeah, he's what I see in him is he and Thomas Brown have this trait about him where they've learned over the years that when you on this side of the football field when you're coaching, it takes a certain kind of person. You got to love on them first. You got to get them to you got to find out who they are as people,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can really coach them, man. And that trait both of those guys have about themselves, I think, is special because everybody doesn't have that. It's just okay. I'm the coach. You do what I ask you to do, and that's going to be the end of it. And you don't have any particular connection to a guy to really dig into him and really find out what makes him tick. Those two guys have that special trait to them. So we have some special coaches in this building right now, man, and it is exciting. And you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm jacked about it. I really am.
It is, and I agree with you. Like I said, most of these guys. I mean, with me just being a fan, I really don't pay attention to assistant coaches outside of the Bears. And seeing these guys' resume, each of them across the board, all these hires, who they replaced, it's an upgrade. Beginning with Shane, Waldron, all the way down. Of course, Morton, I mean, he was the last one to get, hired. But I mean, all of them, it's an improvement. And if you're a Bears fan and you read anything, you don't have to take our word for it. Google and see for yourself. You got to be thrilled at the improvement. I'm a week ago. Okay, waiting for free agency and a draft. Now I'm pumped for the season to start just to see these guys. These guys are teachers, and that's what you want. They're experienced teachers, and I'm jacked for the season to start now.
So, hey, let me tell you something. Joseph Matuzak, I'm gonna read his statement here. Washington and Thomas seem like true troop leaders, as it were. The kind of guys you have that have rank, but you find in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
They are particular kind of coaches. They are. You can tell. As a former football player myself, I know what a leader of men looks like. You can't. Everybody can't lead men. There's a lot of men that are just men, but
Mm-hmm.
certain men can lead other men. And
Mm-hmm.
those two guys in particular, Joseph speaks of Eric Washington and Thomas there, man. I'm telling you, man, we've got some special coaches in the building, and I just can't wait to see what their effect on the team will be. I know for a fact, and you start getting particular about. Let's just start with Eric Washington about his particular effect on these young defensive linemen that we have, and I think we had a good group of offensive linemen. They played really good, but I think he's the kind of guy that can translate that to great and really, really turn up the production from our front four. I mean, and the waves of guys that we're going to bring in free agency and in the draft, man, I just love the fact that this guy will get his chance to have his hands on them first, especially the rookies. He'll get his chance to have his hands on them first. And he's widely regarded as one of the best defensive line coaches there is to be had. And we have right here in Chicago. If you need to be excited about something and you need something to hang your hat on, just be excited about that. Think about how well we played on that defensive front and how it just kept prospering throughout the year. And you got a coach that really specializes, because Flus is truly a linebackers coach, is what he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's a position coach. He's a linebackers coach that became a D coordinator. This guy is he's got a particular skill set, and that's D line, and I'm jacked about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like what little bit that I read on him, Washington, what 5 out of the 7 years that he was a defensive line coach, his team was top 10 in sacks and pressures. And like I said, last year, well, the past 2 years for the Bears, that has been the Achilles heel for the defense.
Yeah.
Is not getting enough pressure. Not this past year, but the year before, Flus's first year, 20 sacks. That's ridiculous.
Well, I got a little bit of pessimism. Telling the truth. Welcome to the show. If you're new to the show, man, do us a favor and hit the like and subscribe. I would ask everybody to do that too. If you have not, man, we would really, really appreciate it. Have no problem with somebody's opinion that's not the same as mine. Telling the truth. Yes, this is that time of season where we do give particular we emphasize, the guys that we bring in, but I'm not really too much like everybody else, man. I see stuff. I'm an evaluator, man. That's what I do. I analyze things and I just look at it from a perspective that I think it might be different than other people's. But I'm telling you guys, telling the truth. I'm telling you, we got some really good coaches. There's gonna be a losing streak or two that happens, of course. I don't give a damn how good the coaches are. Sometimes teams hit that skid and you got to rebuild, confidence and get them back going to where they need to be. I wouldn't judge any coach from something like that. The coach is only going to coach. The players have to play. And so I understand what you're saying. People are excited around this time of the year. They do have to play, and they do have to put proof in the pudding. And so just to let you know, man, welcome to the show. Never seen you before. Please do that. Hit the like and subscribe for us if you haven't.
And Google their names and check for yourself and see what you think. that's basically what I'm going by, and I'm happy with what I read.
Yeah. I'm just reading the comments, guys. We don't have a producer in here tonight, so I'm trying to do. I mean, today, so I'm trying to do everything. Um, yeah, I'm reading the comment. They did a great job considering Flus as a lame duck coach. You know what, man? Whether what Flus's future is interesting, Muck Muck. But what I feel good about is the fact that we've got experience and understanding and know how to back him up. We've got stopgaps this year. We didn't have that last year. So if we had have moved on from Flus, I don't know how bad things would have gotten. But I feel good about the fact if they feel like they have to move on from Flus, we have a couple of stopgap guys that can really get this done. There's, in fact, I think 3 guys that I think that can get it done.
Well, I'll admit, I'm surprised with the hires because I thought Flus, as you know, I'm not a big Flus supporter. Uh, and I thought, they ain't going to be getting anybody worth a darn to come here for possibly 1 year. And I'm happy to admit that I'm wrong. And like I said, I'm when I read these guys' resumes, all these guys collectively, uh, I'm looking forward to the season. I'm very happy.
Well, I just let me talk about Thomas Brown for a minute because I searched high and low last night trying to find everything I can find on him. I was all over YouTube all night last night until I went to sleep, literally. And I'm telling you, Brian, I found a little mini documentary. It was Sean McVay talking about the hiring of Thomas Brown and where he came from and where he kind of is today, based on his status with the Rams, that Super Bowl team that he was a part of. I'm gonna tell you a couple of things here. This guy started off as a running backs coach in a year, right? And within a year, that team and they flourished with him as a running backs coach. They struggled mightily without him as a running backs coach. But then they hired him, and then the running game began to flourish. Within not long from that, Sean McVay saw something in his leadership, his ability to be able to connect with the players, and just that bond and that feeling of, oh, he's got the pulse of this team. He went from in a really short period of time from running backs coach. I just want you to know how rare this is. Running backs coach to assistant head coach. I just want you to think about that for a second. That's rare. You go from a running backs coach, and within a year you become the assistant head coach. You just jumped over all the way over offensive coordinator and became the assistant head coach, the man next to the man. That's impressive.
Well, I'll add a little something else. He's only 37 years old, but he's been coaching since 2011.
Right?
That means he was in his 20s when he got the first coaching gig. Now, either he knows what he's talking about or he's a hell of an interviewer.
Man, listen, Brian, I am telling you, this McVay believes so much in this guy and his ability to really know the pulse of this team. I'm telling you, every video that I watched was just impressive and more impressive and more impressive. And then I'm watching him mic'd up on the field in practices. And then you kind of get to see what he's saying and what the other coaches are saying about him. And it was translatable, man. And I'm telling you, he's going to have a direct, and this is what I picture. I picture Justin Fields with Kerry Joseph, the new coordinator, I forget his name. I'm having a brain fart right now. And Thomas Brown, Shane Waldron, the 3 of those people being a really, really, really positive influence on him. And Thomas Brown and Kerry Joseph being particularly 2 guys that will really change. I think, and I said it last night, and it was part of the thumbnail, I think he's going to breathe. They're going to breathe new life into Justin Fields. They're going to give him extra confidence. I don't think he lacks it, but if you got real support instead of a bunch of guys that really never really did it before, it just gives you an extra something that I don't know if I think they're going to get another version of Justin Fields out of Justin Fields.
Well, something else. Lord knows I've bashed Getsy 7 Ways to Sunday. I don't think that he is the Antichrist. He was just in over his head.
Way over his head.
Yeah. He probably did the best that he could and all like that. These guys have experience, beginning with Waldron, Brown, uh, Joseph. His experience is more, playing and then, coaching. Beatty, a ton of years, with the wide receivers. Justin hadn't had that type of support because Getsy wasn't that way. Getsy came into the league in the middle of a Hall of Famer's career, so he was trying to make Justin play like Aaron Rodgers. And Justin is not that type of guy. And that's where I think Joseph, where he is going to be huge for this because he did play that way again up in Canada, but he can relate to Justin.
But,
And with how Brown, the experience that he's had, as long as these coaches can work together, put their egos aside, which I don't think that's going to be an issue, we're going to see Justin at his full potential. And if that don't get you excited, then I don't know what to tell you as a fan. Go back and watch Justin at Ohio State and envision that being the Chicago Bears.
man, listen, for a kid, I think they're doing them right now because
now it took 3 years, but
well, he's earned the right to have a team built and designed around his strengths. He's put up with, dealing with a lame duck head coach when he got here, and then dealing with the teardown the next year, and then the first year of installed offense that this guy wanted to run that really wasn't conducive to who Justin Fields is, but was stubborn about it and didn't want to change anything about it. He wanted to screen game him to death, and that's just not this wasn't a good idea. But a guy like Getsy, who didn't have any coaching experience, that's what he knew.
Yeah,
and that's what he tried to apply to the game.
Yeah,
and a really good, like I said, guys that have the pulse for the players in the locker room are the ones that end up being really successful coaches. He didn't have the pulse. He couldn't really take the temperature and couldn't really figure out what was good and what was not good. He insisted on doing what he knew, and that's all he was just in over his head flat out.
Something else, and I brought this up a while back, probably like the second or third time I was on your show, was who was up in the booth. And I'm thinking with this crowd, you're going to have some guys up in the booth, and not being a player, just being a fan, that has to give the coaching staff a different perspective of what's truly going on, to where they can relay that as opposed to just everybody on the sidelines.
Yeah. Well, all I know is this, man. Here's another aspect of something I'm looking forward to. I know most of the fan base is really turned on Velus Jones. I think differently of Velus Jones. And I'll tell you something in particular, Brian, and I'm talking to everybody in the chat too. It started to feel like, because I think polls drafted Velus Jones as a particular piece that would fit into the scheme that they were bringing in, which is a West Coast offense. And the design I think he had in mind was Deebo Samuels and what the dynamic that he brought to San Francisco. That's what I was thinking when he drafted Velus Jones. What they ended up doing with Velus Jones was absolutely exposing him to his worst, basically his weaknesses, and not using him to his strengths. They could not figure out what to do with him. And I think they pretty much, it almost looked spiteful the way they were using him or not using him. I don't know how, as an offensive coordinator, a guy that explosive, you don't find ways to put the ball in his hands. So what if he didn't turn out to be a whole lot as a receiver? There are other ways to apply a guy with that kind of talent, and you not having the wisdom and the know-how to do that was indicting. And so I just did not like the way they handled him, and I'll say that time and time again.
Yeah, to me, Velus looked like a young guy that somehow, for whatever reason, lost his confidence. when a person loses their confidence, I don't care how long you've been doing something or whatever. When you lose your confidence, it just totally throws you for out of whack until you somehow gain that. And unfortunately for Velas, for whatever reason, a coach didn't tap into whatever was his issue. Because I mean, you look what he did at Tennessee. The football field is still 100 yards. The concepts are still, you catch the ball. You just don't lose that. I realize college, the pros, they're bigger, they're faster, blah blah blah. But still, you just don't lose that overnight without something
Well, Brian,
causing that.
and I think Joseph agrees, man. I felt spiteful. It was like because I really think, you have you in a front office, everybody is kind of influencing who's getting picked and where. I think
Mhm.
this was strictly a Poles' pick, and I think they tried to. I'm just guessing,
Mhm.
and I think they tried to make Poles look bad by drafting him. They probably wanted someone else, and Poles insisted on drafting this guy, and they put him out there in really bad spots. Like, see how bad he is. This was a waste of pick, and
Mhm.
I think a guy with a forward thinking mind, like I think Waldron is, and Kerry Joseph and Thomas Brown will see his potential and know what to do with it. Get the ball in his hands in unconventional ways like they do Debo Samuels. And I think we're looking at a different player. I think the production will be there to kind of get everybody off of Velus Jones. That's my hopes for what they do with him this year.
Yeah, yeah. Now, as far as Velas, I would also like to see him in the backfield too.
That's it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
exactly I mean, he was drafted as a receiver per se, but
Mhm.
you don't have to necessarily consider him a receiver solely. He's a weapon. Use
Mhm.
him the way you feel like you can design something to script something that really gets him off. Use him that way. Use him like a weapon, and that's my beef with the whole thing.
Yeah, and I don't mean throw 30 screens in one game either.
Right, right. But I just, man, this whole thing has me feeling really, really, really good. Velus Jones being, I just can't wait to see those new coaches get their hands on
Well,
it.
and to a certain extent, uh, Travis Scott or
Travis
whatever his first name is, I can't think of it.
Tyler
The
Scott.
what? Yeah, wide receiver from Cincinnati. I mean, I realize it was his rookie year, but I mean, again, you look at his tape from Cincinnati, and he did well. And this year with the Bears, it's like he couldn't catch the ball. You have two guys that did pretty well in college, and then they go pro, and all of a sudden they can't catch no more. Is the ball that different size?
I mean, it's really an indictment of the coaching. I mean, it's you put them out there in bad spots and in bad situations that don't really take advantage of who they
Mhm.
are as a player and their particular skill set. These are the results you get. You get a disillusioned fan base that really think it's the player. It is the player sometimes. When you can't blame anyone for fumbles or not catching the ball, but if you're constantly being put in positions that aren't conducive to who you are as a player, then don't be surprised if you get bad results. You can't have a guy sit there and block 85, 90% of the game, and then late in the game, you decide to send him on a go route deep down the field and expect, chemistry to be there. He hadn't thrown the ball to the damn guy the whole game.
Yeah,
What do you think is going to happen?
yeah, exactly. And probably, in all honesty, uh, Velos to a certain extent, and definitely Scott probably had more familiarity working with Bajent than they did Justin,
Right,
just from practice
right.
and training camp.
Well,
So yeah, to throw some kid in there, a second year guy and a rookie, throw them in there basically cold and expect them to, be Jerry Rice. Good luck with that.
yeah, I can't wait to see what Tyler Scott, Velus Jones, with this new coaching staff, man, and what they can script up and put together to really emphasize their strengths, man. That's the exciting part to me. It's all this potential because we came into the season so hyped up about the kind of speed and the kind of explosiveness that we had on the roster after the draft and a year of Velus Jones and what those two can bring between Velus Jones and Tyler Scott on the field, the dynamic of speed being put on the field. And how many times this year did you see those guys go on a deep route? Very rarely.
Yeah.
You never really seen them get a chance to take the top off the defense or even threaten it because they were so busy running them damn screen routes and curl routes and all that kind of crazy stuff. And you never got to see that dynamic play out. And
Hey, going deep was their bread and butter in college.
We for most of the season were scratching our heads like, why don't they send these guys deep, threaten them deep, threaten the teams deep? They're not even trying. DJ Moore, he was the target, but I think the dynamic of Velus Jones and Tyler Scott could have made a huge difference if you had a competent O coordinator.
Yeah, because I don't know what the deal is with Darnell Mooney. We talked about it the other night. I don't know if he was frustrated because he wasn't getting plays his way and it was a contract year. I don't know if he was jealous of DJ Moore, pissed off at Getsy, still worried about injury or whatever, but he wasn't what he was. And they could have had Velus and Scott, try to replace his production, but they end up screwing those two over also. So hopefully Scott and Velus are on the phone with DJ asking what kind of coach is Chris Beatty going to be. What's he like to work with since he worked with DJ at Maryland.
And Julian is asking where was Moody in so many different words, but I think here's my thoughts, and I think any and all of this could be applicable. I believe Mooney somehow or another, he knew that he would be. You got to remember, Chase Claypool was supposed to be a part of this.
Yes.
Up until the end of preseason, he would have been outside of the snafu he had with the reporters, and I don't know what played out after that. He ended up being gone.
Mm-hmm.
With Claypool being out of the picture, Mooney probably felt like, okay, here's my opportunity. I am in my free agent year. I'm my contract year, and we have a chance for me to get some money. And he was expecting to really get targeted because Claypool wasn't here, and that didn't happen. And I think over time, being asked to block time and time again, getting lined up in line, having to block defensive ends time and time again, game after game, and not being targeted. I don't give a damn who you are. You're going to feel some kind of way. You might not show it outwardly, but I guarantee behind the scenes, he was upset by the way he was being used in a contract year. That's millions and millions of dollars that this guy's not going to get because of the way he was being applied by Luke Getsy. And I don't know what was behind that thinking. It was just Luke Getsy's stubbornness. But if I'm Darnell Mooney, I feel like I got every right to be pissed off about all of it.
Well, it's something else to throw into that. How many games was St. Brown a healthy scratch?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you how many times that happened, but
no, but what I'm saying, all right, say it happened 4 times. St. Brown was known for his blocking. So if you're going to use that play, why have practically the smallest guy on your team be the blocker when you've got a guy that specializes in that? And that way that could free up Mooney to be the other receiver opposed to just throwing it to Moore all the time.
Well, I think that's part of I think some of these coaching hires, especially a Thomas Brown and maybe I think Poles had more to do with these hires than Flus did, bringing these experienced guys in here that really, really know how to do this stuff. And I definitely think it was a Poles move, and I think he probably overrode basically Flus on some of the hires that he might have wanted. No, man, we need to get some experience in here, some guys that really the ineptitude on offense was so overwhelmingly noticeable, man. It was just crazy. for the whole year, we could not understand, like, why is this guy still here? But I know how coaching dynamics go from being a college football player. I know how close these guys get. We're talking about baby dates, and they're going out with each other's families for dinner. You get really close, man. You become like brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy Getsy had a kid in particular that had some kind of condition. I believe, I can't remember what it was.
Autism.
Okay, so when he was in Green Bay, they didn't have the specialized treatment for her condition there, and he came to Chicago and immediately had better resources.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids are in school, going through a whole year of school, and I know for a fact that Flus probably did not want to embarrass him by firing him during the season, or having to have his kids being taken out of school to move someplace else. Is just inconsiderate if you consider a guy your friend. So I do understand why he was kept. It still frustrates me as a fan, because I'm on the outside looking in, but I know why, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that you could tell that Flus, how do I want to say, obviously shows loyalty towards friends. That was probably the whole reason why Alan Williams was brought over, because Alan Williams didn't have.
I actually respect him for it, Brian, to be honest with you.
That's true, but at the same time, man, it could end up biting you on the backside, and it did for Flus.
Well, I mean, I understand. I actually respect Flus for, if that was his mindset, not to embarrass his friends, not to have him drag his kids out of across country and go wherever and take his kids out of the middle of a school year because you got fired, and all that kind of stuff. We as the fans, we suffered by a bad product on the field, so we can complain about that if we want to. But if you look at it on its merits and on its face, the fact that Flus was able to keep him here and keep him his job, and not have him tear his family apart and move them elsewhere in the middle of a school year, that's important for parents, not having to uproot their kids in the middle of a school year to go to someplace else. It's just uncomfortable and unfortunate for people's families, man.
Well, I agree, but as somebody that's been a blue collar worker, hey, if I went to work and if I got fired, nobody gives a crap, about my family, and if I had to move or whatever. So, I mean, I see your point, and I want to have a little bit of empathy, but at the same time, I'm not going overboard with it.
Well, it's just human. It's just the human nature in me. Just at the end of the day, these coaches are human. They have families. They, every time you see a guy get fired, especially when he's done a bad job like Getsy, everybody jumps on the lynch mob like, good, great, get him out of town with the pitchforks, bats, and chains, not understanding totally what really goes on behind the scenes. You got to uproot everything. You got to move, and he's going to come off okay financially, but man, that's not a good spot to be in, man. And like I said again, I applaud Flus if that was his reasons for keeping Getsy around. Me as a fan, that side of me says, what, that I don't care. But as a man, I can respect it.
Well, like I said, I gave you my opinion.
Yeah,
I think Getsy will bounce back. I mean, there's not a. I don't mean to sound like a jerk or be funny. There's probably not a high school that wouldn't be interested in bringing him on, and there's a lot of college, so it's not like
you're being a jerk. You talking about high school, man?
Well, it's not like he's going to have to go on food stamps and stop at the local whatever town pantry to get bag for food from churches and all like that. He's going to survive. He wasn't good at his job. He tried. Him and his kids ain't going to be on the highway with signs saying they'll work for food.
Right. Either way it goes, man, that's enough with the coaches that aren't here anymore. I'm just happy. In fact, he just got a second interview with the Saints. I think Getsy did.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, he did get another interview.
You back with us?
I'm in and out. I'll never be too far away from
So
And
what?
it's that warm, fuzzy feeling that just makes us feel good that knowing that you're there, Chris.
Yeah, I'm looking at I just can't wait to see what kind of design. I know I just look at the connections, man, and I look at the, some of the writing on the wall. They're bringing all these guys in. Justin's still in the building, working out and doing all that kind of stuff. I think if they had thoughts of trading him, I think Poles is too good of a guy as a human to lead Justin, lead him along and kind of
Mhm.
lead him astray. Have him to believe that you're probably still going to be a part. You're going to be a part of this team. We're just going to do our due diligence the way we need to do on the outside. I think Poles would be more straight up with him. And I think if Justin Fields wasn't going to be a part of this team and they knew it, he wouldn't have been in that building. He'd be somewhere else working out with his personal trainers, doing something somewhere else. And that would be the look of the off season for Justin. Instead, he's inside the building, inside the facility, and he's working. That tells me a lot. It might not mean a whole lot to some people, but the kind of guy I think Poles is, I don't think this would be happening if Justin wasn't coming back and being a part of this team.
I don't think any general manager, scouting department from all 32 teams right at this moment knows what they want. If you went to the other 31 teams, would they like to have the number one pick? Sure. Would all of them pick Williams or a quarterback? Most likely, but there's going to be some that wants a wide receiver. There may be a few that wants uh, offensive line. Uh, Maybe have it as trade bait to get a bunch. Anybody that says, "Oh, this means that they're sticking with Justin," "Oh, this means that they're drafting Williams," don't know their ass from their elbows because right now the Bears don't know what they want to do.
I think they do, Brian. I really do. I think they know exactly what they want to do. I think they are playing the song
You
and dance. They playing the song and dance of what you need to do to play chess and to give the illusion that you're up in the air and you don't. I think they decided a while ago. Exactly.
you can't because you don't know what kind of offer is going to be. Now, in my heart of hearts, I think they're going to stick with Justin, and I hope I'm right on that. And if I was polls, I would be praising Caleb Williams. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And gee whiz, Drake May, he's not too far behind. Oh, look at Marvin Harrison Jr. That could be the greatest wide receiver. I'd be propping all of just to make that pick more valuable. And at the same time, I would be saying, "Oh yeah, we're happy with Justin." But, and I wouldn't finish anything after but to make them think, hey, maybe Justin's tradable too. You're
Of course.
increasing his value all along when it comes draft time. You're trading for the highest bidder, and hopefully you fooled them, made them pay more than they was willing to, but they wanted that pick that bad. That's me.
I I think, man, listen, and I tell you guys, I speak from my heart every single time that you see me on one of these shows. I speak from my heart and I tell you what my gut says, and I don't just pull it out of nowhere. I do the research and I look at the details and I start watching little things. And people can disillusion themselves, get a little delusional about this whole thing because you kind of virtue signal what you want to happen. I'm not really doing that. I'm not doing that at all. Of course, it is what I want to happen, but I'm not
Mhm.
just saying this thing because this is what I want to happen. I'm just looking at some of the stuff that I see, little details of things that make sense to me. And when I speak from my gut, and I'll tell you when I'm wrong. When I'm wrong, I'll be the first person to tell you. If I get something wrong, I will stand on here and I will tell you I got that completely wrong. I'm gonna tell you guys straight up. In my life, my gut has always told me what is. Whether I was willing to listen to it or not was a different story. Earlier in my life, when I was willing to ignore my gut and go with what my mind wanted, I got in trouble every time. Why am I speaking about my gut? Because now I've learned to really listen to it and let it guide me through the decisions that I make in life and some
Mhm.
of the conversations that I have with you guys live on these shows. And I'm telling you right now, in my gut, I know that Justin Fields is going to be the quarterback of this team.
Okay.
Everything my gut tells me is going. He's going, and my gut has never let me down.
Now that I was just about ready to ask you that. Are
Never.
we talking about Justin being on the Bears or what they're going to do with the draft pick?
No, Justin's going to be on the Bears. They're going to trade that pick. It's just too valuable of
Okay. But you see why I asked that, because that's two different questions.
yeah, it's all part of the same scenario though.
Well, yeah, but then yeah, I agree with what you just said. I think Justin stays on the Bears, and I think that they ream some team with a trade like they did last year with that first pick. And to me, I think that's what's best. You fill more holes. Who knows how many extra picks you get for next year, and maybe do the same thing. My thinking is you trade with a team that Getsy went to, you may have the first pick next year too.
Yeah. Well, I just tell you guys what I feel inside me, and everything on the outside tells me the same thing. But when my gut kind of confirms it for me, I'm gonna stand on it. And whether I'm wrong or right, I'll come out here and correct myself if I'm wrong. But up until this point in my life, my gut ain't led me wrong. So when I listen to it, good things happen.
I'm not laughing at you, Nomad. I'm laughing at what Joseph Matuzak put
What did he say?
about Justin Fields is a hell of a player. Not many guys can win a NASCAR race in a rickshaw.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I just you know what, Chris, if you're still back there, if you want to play the commercial, man, that would be great, buddy.
The best Chicago Bears content anywhere. Catch Nomad live pregame 1 hour prior to kickoff, and Nomad at night postgame, and every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Central on all the most popular streaming platforms, and only on the Nomad Network.
You're welcome, buddy.
You're welcome. Thank you, man. I just wanted to say this, man. At the start of the new year, we made a promise to you guys that we would try to get you more content and just more stuff available, and to try to reward you for supporting us so much, man. You guys have been great for us, man. It's the people that are here regularly, and even the new people, man. I hope you feel good about coming to this show as an option for you in the Bears content world, man. I hope we're doing our job. I believe we're doing our job, and you're definitely going to get more content out of this network. We're going to you have to set your notifications. If you enjoy the content, you have to set your notification bell, because we don't even know when we're going to do a show right about now. We'll get to a more regularly scheduled programming during the season, but right now it's just optimal time. You have to kind of read the room and kind of see what's going on out there before you go out there and go live. But we're gonna follow through with what we said we were gonna do and give you more content, guys. So thank you for coming, and all you guys that are new to the channel, please hit that like button and subscribe for us, man. We are really trying to hit 1,000, and we're getting really close right now, and it will really help us. We appreciate you ahead of time. Go ahead, Brian.
Something that I want to add, that I did a little bit of reading last night too after I talked to you, of the what we got, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 5 guys that the Bears have hired. I'm not including Shane Waldron. The 5 are minorities. And why I'm bringing this up, because it's important to me for 2 reasons. One, I like that the Bears are giving these guys a chance. And 2, something that I read that I didn't know. They talk about the Rooney Rule. And the way that I understood that was, if I thought it, like a general manager, somebody in the office, if they go to another team, the team that they was on gets 2 3-round picks. 2 years in a row, they get an extra 3rd round pick. what I read was that also applies to coach. And if, say, Ian Cunningham, he gets hired by a team and he picks one of these guys that the Bears just signed. I know this is putting the cart way before the horse, but if he wants one of these guys to come to the team that he signs to, the Bears would get an extra third round pick 3 years in a row, not 2. That gives you 4 picks in the top 100 for 3 years in a row. That is, to me, is very significant.
Yeah, I like the thoughts of that.
I mean, I don't want to lose anybody, but
when it comes to these minority coaches and all that kind of stuff, and I ain't afraid to speak my mind. I'll tell you, I think it's a good idea that they got some minority coaches around Justin. Not because the white guys couldn't do the job, not at all. I think he's in a particular place in his career, and here's the dynamic that I'm thinking of. Kerry Joseph, number one, he's a really strong motivator. Number one, that has anything to do with being black or white or Asian, whatever you are. That's number one. Number two, the connection that I think most people would probably look over and haven't paid attention to is Thomas Brown's a Georgia boy. He's a Georgia boy, so is Justin.
mm-hmm.
They're African American. I just think that combination of those two guys, they will be, and with their skill set, Kerry Joseph's ability to be able to relate to a mobile quarterback, that aspect of it, and Thomas Brown's leadership and encouraging this kid and believing in what he can do, breathing that new life into him. The fact that there are people that look like him as far as Justin goes, does that make a difference in life? Yes, it does, especially when you're a minority. You're a minority, you feel like, okay, it's not that you can't get the same kind of impact from someone that doesn't look like you. It definitely makes you feel better. There are nuances to being a African American that is not universally understood. Those two guys will get it. You know what I'm saying? So just bringing the dynamic in the room with him and having him have access to those guys on a day-to-day basis to bounce things off of, I think it's going to make a huge difference. And if it sounds kind of racist, I'm not trying to be there. I tried to thoroughly explain myself as to why I think it could benefit what we have going.
Some things are racial, some things are racist, some things are racial. There's a racial element to most things we deal with in today's society. So be able to tell the difference between the two, what's racist and what's just racial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I was just, if I'm walking South Central LA or Harlem, and if I see a white person, yeah, I'm gonna feel a little bit better. That's just, like you said, that's just a natural.
Right.
Even if nobody says or did anything to me, it's like, okay, I'm not a freak or whatever.
Especially if it's a cop.
Well, then he's going to throw my ass in the car anyway.
Hey, Julian, I saw Julian. We got a new subscriber. Julian, I appreciate you. I didn't catch your last name or if you even had one up there, but I appreciate you for subscribing. And I'm glad and I'm really happy that you enjoy the content. We try to do our jobs around here, man, but appreciate you for that. But yeah, there is, especially when it comes to, I think there's a part of his timing, Justin Fields' his timing, getting the ball out of his hands that I think they'll be able to help him with the timing that's going on in his head and when not to run. I believe that the way they'll design this scheme, to me, the smart way to do it wouldn't have to be you having to design a run play. You can do one or two here and there, but to have the way Getsy had this guy doing 6, 7, 8 runs during the game, that's crazy. If you put him in the right setup, you don't have to design a run play. They will come organically. Trust me. He's rolling out of that pocket on a boot, and he's not seeing what he needs to see on those layered routes that's in front of him. The coverage is right. They'll happen naturally anyway. So what do you need to design that for? Just because you got a quarterback that can run? I don't think that's fair to him. You know what I mean? But that's how I feel about it, Brian.
No, I agree with you 100%. Um, yeah, Getsy not only running, but it was just like the stupid runs that he would having Justin do. And of course, for 3 years, Justin's not going to get a call from the refs, if he gets hit late or decapitated or whatever. Uh, and some things I wish Getsy was here and I could just shake the hell out of him. But yeah, this staff, like I said, I'm thrilled that Justin finally gets people that seem like they know what they're doing and will work to his strengths.
Yeah, we can go on talk a whole show about Justin Fields and what these two guys can bring to the table with him. But there's going to be so many guys. These coaches are so good and so influential and such leaders. There's going to be such a impact on the team on all these different players on both sides of the ball, man. The impact is going to be enormous, man. I think I can just feel it, man. It's just something about my gut, man. I gotta keep telling you guys about my gut. I got good gut health, and I'm telling you, telling me good things inside there. That's all I can tell you. My gut health is great. Good things are going on inside of my gut right now. Stars, the moon, everything is aligned for us right now. We're getting, at a time of the year where everybody said, good coaches are gonna want to come here and all that kind of stuff because Foose is a lame duck coach. How you like me now?
But like I said, I was one of those people, and I'm glad to admit, I believe I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with falling on the sword when you get something wrong. I will do it when I need to. Whenever I am wrong, I will do that. But I just never saw it that way. I never did. I always saw it as the way the team was trending, what the talent level the talent level that we had on the roster, and the way the team was playing. Did it look like a team that was up and coming? And whenever I went back to the last 5 or 6 games, it was clear to me that this team had finally figured out something. The quarterback finally figured out something. The defense knew how to control games. That's all you really need as a coach when you're looking to join something that is it something that's going down and going down fast. Then yeah, you probably don't want to attach your wagon to that. No, when you look at it on tape and you let that be the measuring stick as to why you might want to accept the job for coaching in Chicago. If you let that be the measuring stick, Brian, the last 5 or 6 games, whether we won them or not, if you look at them and you're sensible about what you saw a team that's on the rise, much like what you saw in Detroit last year.
Detroit is not a bad example or to use it as a blueprint. Last year it was Philadelphia and how they built their team. I don't remember the turnover in coaches that Detroit or Philadelphia had as far as that goes. Chicago's, I think they did it right. They tried with guys that didn't have much experience, and that didn't work. This round, these guys have plenty of experience, and I think good things are going to happen because of it. I think we're going to see the players that's on the team right now either come close or reach their potential. Any incoming players via free agency and the draft, I think they're going to get coached properly, if that makes sense. All that equals to a more well-rounded and better team.
That's right. Chris, you want to jump in, man? We got a few minutes left, man. We're going to give some shout-outs, man. We held on to it, held it down, me and Brian, for an hour, man, pretty much.
Good job, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We held it down. So let's go around the horn, man, because I really appreciate the love these guys are showing me. I didn't expect this much support for our first time doing the show, but go ahead, Chris.
Hey, you always, man. I appreciate the guys that come in and support us, and everybody in the chat. Mr. Man, welcome up to General and the Graps, my buddy J2K, Joseph Matusak, King Booger World, Mr. Mayhem, Mr. Hebrew 1974. Okay, good to see you, man. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button. All you guys, man, it's just good to see you, and expect more, content like this coming in the upcoming weeks. It's going to be a fun off season. It's going to be a busy off season, so we're going to have plenty to say about it. And thank you, Brian, for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I enjoyed it. The regulars, thank you. I know this is a little bit kind of a funky time difference than normal. Appreciate you showing up. New people, hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please hit the like and subscribe, and look forward to seeing you again and sharing our viewpoints. And I hope everybody has a safe, happy, blessed day.
All right. So who's afraid of the big bad wolf? CHGO. Who?
Man, leave the wolf alone.
Who? We ain't scared of them over here.
Leave the wolf
We ain't
alone.
scared of them over here. We came on their hour.
They're our friends.
On them. I love brags. I'm just BSing. But I just want to. It's a good testament to you guys, man, to show
You
up.
love Carm too?
Man, Carm is the guy, man. I like Carm. He's a funny guy. I love Carm, man. That's what. And Herb's over there. That's my guy.
Yeah, Herb is there.
Herb's holding it down. Don't ask me no more questions, Chris. You gotta
All right, I'm done.
All right, but I do love you guys, man. All you new guys that just starting to tune into the show and found the content. Hey, man, welcome to the show, man. We treat everybody like family around here, man. I really mean that. And just to get out here on our first time doing a noon broadcast against probably the top Bears content creator out there, I ain't scared. I don't disrespect those guys. I don't have any problem with them. A few of those guys are my buddies. But it's just I want to test how much fan support that we really do have. And you guys have proven me right.
And you did it with a senior citizen helping you.
Did it with a very small black guy with a white beard.
I'm never going to live Tony Manlin down.
Hey, with that being said, guys, I love you guys so much. And thank you for showing up and showing out for us, man. Keep it coming. We're going to keep it coming. Hopefully, we'll do another show around this time tomorrow. You guys let me know in the comments section whether you'd like to see another show as an option at noon tomorrow, and we'll try to meet your expectations. But let us know in the comments section. Before we get out of here, I got to leave you guys with this. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Take care, everybody.